Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Pro Detailers podcast, hosted by yours truly, Blue Bolden, and my big homie, Jalene Getman.
We are going to bring detailers in from all around the US and have them talk to you guys about how they got started, products that they love, and tips and tricks to help make the job a little bit easier. Make sure to like and subscribe to all of our other social media outlets. And once again, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes. Enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the Pro Detailer Series podcast.
Yes, you are guest number 2. So
I'd rather be second than first, honestly. It's just too much pressure.
Thank you so much for coming on and spending a little bit of time with us today. As we briefly talked about, we want this podcast to just be about your company, talk to us about who you are, how you got started, why you decided to do it, and then we'll just kind of roll from there. So welcome.
I'm glad to be here. It's a pleasure.
So just kind of shout out your business, where you're located, and how people could get in contact with you.
My business is Attention to Details, and I'm in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It is it's a growing area. There's a ton of detailers. We're right down the road from the Manheim Auto Auction. So it's a very saturated market with detailers. So it's kind of hard to stand out. So it's been kind of interesting and cool to see us grow, even in a very flooded market that's also very male dominated. Just to kind of be a female, I felt like that was initially going to be my hardest hurdle to climb and accomplish. And God has been really just gracious and faithful in providing business for me. We've been open for about 4 years, maybe a little bit over that now. I honestly I keep saying 4 and it might have been 5. I don't even know anymore. But yeah, I mean, as far as customers, they can get in touch with me. I have a business page, www.a2dlancaster.com. I'm also on YouTube, Attention to Details with Chelsea. I have Instagram, A2D Lancaster, Facebook, my Attention to Details business page as well. So you kind of got to hit all the marks. There's a couple ones. I'm on the Nextdoor app too. That's actually how I started my business, was just kind of putting my info out there for people to see it on the Nextdoor app, which is kind of a local community board.
Okay. I think we have
social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of my neighbors just said, "Hey, you do really good work." And it really just started. I was a stay-at-home mom, 2 little kids at home. My husband does HVAC. And as we were dreaming about, where our family would go, we were in a 2-bedroom, 1.5-bath house that was small. And when I became a stay-at-home mom, I never had the intention of being one. And then we're like, well, how are we going to save and get out of this house if I'm not working? And it was hard because do you pay for childcare and how do you afford that versus your income? And I mean, you guys get it, being working mamas. And it was one of those things where I'm like, I feel like I have to work from home, but what is going to be that niche for me? And I had a passion. I always enjoyed cleaning cars, had done it for friends and family. On the side, and my neighbor was like, you should put your info on the Nextdoor app and just see what happens. And I did. I threw together like a quick basic package of what I thought I should make, and it was really, really cheap prices. And I learned that after the first one that I needed to up my prices. It only takes one, but
Right.
I from that first post, I think I got about 2 or 3 weeks worth of work, like 2-3 details for the week. And working part-time was really all I really wanted from it at the time. And before I knew it, I was becoming, I got a business license, I got business checking, I got insurance and garage keepers insurance and all that stuff. And it's just through word of mouth, just steadily grown to where it's at now. I wouldn't say it's an empire. I still work. We were able to save enough money and we bought a house that's 3-bedroom, 1 full bath, 2 half bath, a 2-car garage. And because my husband does HVAC, he put in a mini split for me. So I can now work year round. And just this past semester, now that my daughter is in 1st grade and in full-time school, I was able to kind of take this full time and do this 4 or 5 times a week. And It's definitely a lot. I might scale back just a smidgen to keep my
Oh,
sanity.
okay.
But
Is that how many cars you're pumping out every week? 4 to 5?
yeah, sometimes more. If it's a wash and a wax, I can do two in a day. I know that there are some detailers that they're mobile. They can pump out numerous cars, within a day. But I'm not necessarily focusing on quantity. I like to focus on quality. And when people bring their vehicles to me, they're wanting it to be almost as good as off the lot, if not better. And so that takes a lot of time. So, I mean, the average time I'm spending with a vehicle is 5 to 7 hours, sometimes even longer. If it's a coating, it could be a 2-day job. So,
Right.
um, that can fluctuate, but it's very physically demanding, but a very rewarding job to be able to. I'm one of those weird people that loves the dramatic before and afters. And so
Right.
I'm that weirdo that goes back on my pictures and like, oh yeah, I remember that one. Oh, that one turned out really good. So it's
Yeah.
an enjoyable but weird passion to have.
Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you for your YouTube page because I'm not a detailer by any means.
If you've watched our videos,
Oh
you
my
know that.
God. Okay. So I always send people to your videos if they ask
Oh,
certain questions about the product and you just do such a wonderful job. And I'm like, here, you got to go to, I send them a link. Hey, check out, Chelsea using waterless wash or something like that. And,
yeah.
it's just, I just want to thank you. You make my job a little easier over here.
Oh, well, it's been my pleasure. I mean, I enjoy helping people, and that's really why I started the YouTube channel. Because when I started detailing, I really learned everything I know from YouTube. I mean, I had some basics. I had actually, before I had kids, when I was working in the workforce, I worked for a local Bible college, Lancaster Bible College, and I was the housekeeping supervisor and the physical plant admin assistant. So it was like two full-time jobs in one. But being the housekeeping supervisor, I had to become familiar with chemicals. I had to learn about, you know, organic stains and tannin stains and how to treat those things. And, I was working with gigantic floor buffers. And, even though I'm working with a smaller DA now, still learning the kind of the basics of, clear coat and how to make it gloss and different pads. And it was, I think that's honestly what kind of got me wanting to take detailing further, was because I had that basic understanding of chemicals and things like that. And I think that's one thing that I still want to learn a lot of. I feel like that's the one area within detailing that I don't see a lot of detailers are um, informative enough, or knowledgeable enough. Is the chemicals that we use, one, how to use them properly,
Right.
the damage that you could do if you don't use them properly, and also like how to protect ourselves. I've actually had a lot of people scolding me on my channel lately because I don't wear gloves. And I'm like, you know what, honestly, that's a good awareness that I need to work on, because I don't like wearing gloves because it makes me sweat. I don't feel like I can feel things properly, but just being more aware of the chemicals that we
Yeah.
use, and how we absorb them into our bodies and stuff like that. And so I think it's a continuous path that we're on in educating ourselves with that stuff. And that's really what got me into detailing. And I'm still learning, I'm still trying things out. It's
Right.
overwhelming sometimes when the industry keeps innovating itself. And I'm like,
Right.
I just became familiar with these things. And now you're like take it a whole nother direction. So sometimes it just feels like you can't keep up with all of the innovations, but that's why, like, there are certain things that Superior Products does extremely well that honestly, like, no matter what other products come out, I'm like, they work well. I'm just gonna stay in that lane and not like try to be like, hey, let's try this one. No, this one works well. Pink Perfection is my go-to on this. This is that. So, yeah, there's a it's a fun industry to be in, to see all the changes that are going on. So,
How did you hear about superior products?
Um, honestly, just there's a lot of detailing groups on Facebook, and in private chats and private conversations with people, you get to know people over the years that they're nowhere near like located. I have friends in Wisconsin and Texas and California and Hawaii,
Right.
and just being able to glean knowledge from them. One of my friends told me about Superior Products. I think honestly, he was telling me more about the acidic wheel cleaner that you guys have, and
Mhm.
also Rage at the time, and now Dark Fury. He was telling me about them, and I think Dark Fury was actually the first product that I tried
Okay.
out from. superior products. And then I just started trying out other things because they were so affordable and they were so effective. A lot of people think that you've got to spend like 40, 50, $60 a gallon if it's going to be really effective. And that's not always the case. I actually like the fact that you guys have stuff so affordable for people because it's effective, but just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's cheap, you know? So
Say
that
louder
was
for the
really
people in the back.
no, I mean, especially when you guys, you know, you can kind of manufacture your own chemicals. So you don't have to pay the middleman and you're not having to pay for, you know, all this stuff. And so, but you're also not doing a whole lot of paying for marketing and things like that. I'm kudos to you guys for starting to really get the word out. Social media, your videos actually are really quite good. You underestimate yourself. I enjoy them, Jillian.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, just because you don't have this huge marketing presence doesn't mean, and half the time the prices that you're paying for the products are because of the marketing, not necessarily because the product is good. So yeah,
Right.
I mean that was really what kind of got me into superior products, and then just developing a relationship with you guys over the years. And like I said, you know, that phrase, keep it simple, stupid. If it works, it works. You know,
Right.
why fix it if
Well,
it's not
our
broken?
little secret over here, you know, everybody kind of always asks, well, how come your stuff is so much less expensive? And, you know, we're not a retail line. We only cater to professional detailers. So we don't have the overhead that a lot of your retail companies have, where they just have to have lines and lines of, you know, running all these 16-ounce bottles and 32-ounce bottles and the smaller stuff, all of that equipment and this amount of space that you need for all of that, it all adds up. So, you know, we make our chemicals in, you know, massive tanks in big batches, and we can right down out of that tank into our gallons and our fives and our drums, because that's mostly what we're selling. So, you know, by being able to save that amount of money on the overhead, and we're really, really strict with how we shop our chemicals, we will, you know, shop multiple suppliers to make sure that we get the, you know, the best price for, you know, all of our raw materials that we're buying. So just that combination of everything, you know, allows us to be able to pass on a competitive price. And, you know, for all these people that are, you know, trying to get started, or, you know, doing it part-time or out of their garages, you know, they can't spend you know, $100 for a 5 gallon of all-purpose cleaner, and they shouldn't have to. You know, that's just crazy. So that's
Yeah.
our little, you know, we don't do a lot on the retail side. O'Reilly's has come to us and asked for a couple of retail items, just because the commercial stuff sells so well. And then we do have, you know, the tire dressing that's on the shelf, but it's just, you know, we want to focus on the professional and the commercial side. So that's what we do. But yeah, no, we're still small, family owned, and we just are just over here in chemical land.
I got a question. What advice do you have for up and coming detailers? I heard you mention insurance for your company, and I know a lot of times when people starting out new business, they don't think about, you know, things like insurance. So how, you know, what advice would you give somebody starting out in this business, and how important is it to have insurance?
Well, I mean, when you think about a vehicle, it's the second most expensive investment some people will ever make, you know, and even if you're working on a vehicle that's five, $6,000, do you have that much money? Let's say not if even if you polish it, let's say you drop your polisher on it, you know, or you have a chemical that you didn't use it properly and it stains the plastics, or it does damage to an electrical unit or things like that. Um, you know, and if even that's where, I mean, I'm a sole proprietorship at this point, but even like considering doing an LLC, because as a limited liability, like if someone were to come back on you, they can't take your house. But I mean, if you're working on super high end cars, exotic cars, and things like that, and that's where I feel like everyone wants to be. I don't really want to be. I like working on daily drivers because I feel like that's kind of bread and butter. I don't want to put myself in a niche where I work on just Corvettes or just, I mean, I like working on them every now and then. They're fun, but sometimes those ones make me nervous. They make me a little like a little shaky because I'm like, if I screw this up, but having that insurance is that ease of mind, that if something, God forbid, were to happen, or even if a customer parks your vehicle overnight at your house and let's say a drunk driver passes by and hits their car. I mean, you can't anticipate anything that might happen. So insurance, I feel like, is just the responsible thing to do. If you're going to be doing business. And what I've always told people, there's the side hustlers, the weekend warriors that will come to me and say, at what point do I make that determination to get insurance? And I'm like, if you're doing like more than 4 cars a month, that's like maybe one every weekend. If you're doing more than four, I would say you need to at least look into insurance. And if you're saying that's too much money, then obviously you're not necessarily wanting to take this as seriously as some. And that's why I don't know if it would be a more than just a side hustle kind of thing or, a business. But, um, you know, I think for me, that was just good to have that reassurance. My husband definitely felt a lot better after that
Right.
because that made him nervous. God forbid, even like let's say at our old house, we had a carport, and if I had the customer's vehicle stored in the carport, and if our house caught on fire, you know, not everything is going to be covered under my home insurance. So that's where it's good to have that kind of stuff, and it's not as expensive as most everyone thinks. I think I pay under 600 for the year.
Okay.
um, so it's not as, and that's like $1 million policy, but again, it's going to vary by state.
Right.
Um, but it's a lot more affordable than some people make it out to seem. But
Accidents
yeah, and
happen, I mean, you're going to come across, like you said, dropping something on top of the car, or,
yeah,
it's not intentional, but I mean, accidents do happen. So I think that it
yeah,
is smart that you protect yourself.
yeah. And I mean, that's one of the risks of being a detailer when you're working on vehicles. I've had a couple mishaps with vehicles, and it honestly makes you feel wretched. You feel like you're going to throw up. And there have been a couple times that I paid out of pocket to fix stuff, because it wasn't, big enough that I had to make a claim or anything like that. But even those few ones, I'm like, oh God, it eats at you. But it's gonna happen. Any detailer who has never had a single issue with a vehicle is, I hate to say it, like it's gonna happen one day. They always say it's like popping your cherry, like
Oh,
it's gonna happen one of these days as a detailer. So the more you do, the more risk. But um, that's where you really have to educate yourself and just use those precautions that when it comes to polishing or chemicals. And that's why I always feel like it's good for people to understand what they're using and why they're using it and how to use it properly. So that's what I try to achieve with my YouTube channel, but keep it at like a simplistic level. Some of the YouTube channels are like really lofty and in depth, and I can appreciate those, but sometimes I'm not the most analytical or engineering wise, the most smart person in the room. So
No, but people can relate to that, and people can watch your videos and understand how to use the chemical, what it's going to look like before and after. And that's what I feel like people are looking for, like how you mentioned you went to YouTube to just see what other people do and what kind of, little tricks that they do that might, then you can go back and you can try that and you can see what works and what doesn't work and just kind of get your own flow going on. But no, your
yeah.
videos they are fantastic. You do a really good job.
Yeah.
And
I speak your language, so.
Well, and honestly, like that's where I'm kind of at. I feel like the average person is going to start detailing because of a necessity and maybe because of a passion. And if you can combine the two of those, it can be an awesome career. It's very rare that people go into detailing and absolutely hate it. It's normally a hobby and a passion that turns into something that you can do to provide for your family. I see it all the time of people that were like, hey, I just, 6 months started ago, I just bought my first shop. And it's like, that's awesome. Like, how many careers do you know that can do that? And I know that there's ebbs and flows with the market. And right now it's kind of crazy how, as struggling as the economy is, that I'm seeing so many detailers just prosper, and it's awesome.
Right.
And a
yeah,
lot of people get really competitive, and I'm like, there's how many millions, maybe billions of vehicles on the road that are constantly needing cleaned, like there's more than enough for all of us. Like we should just be encouraging one another and supporting one another. It can be kind of a cutthroat industry detailing sometimes because you have a lot of very A-type males that are a little egotistical. So it's been fun to see more females joining the industry, and maybe bringing what I would like to consider a little common sense and humility into it, and just letting people realize that you don't have to be a specific gender to do this. Like I don't work on the engines at all. I don't understand engines. I know where the cabin filter is because I tell people to change that when they got a funk in their cabin. I know basics, work around.
About a funky cabin. I know
Y'all have really good. Y'all have really good air fresheners, by the way. Your oil air fresheners are fantastic. But no, but that's where, I don't necessarily know all the mechanic side of it. And so you don't have to when you're detailing. You have
I bet you know how to clean that engine though.
Oh, I do. Oh yeah.
I can change oil.
Dark Fury, by the way, is a fantastic engine cleaner. So that stuff, I don't know what that stuff can't be used on other than interiors, but that stuff is like, I swear I put that on everything on the outside of a vehicle. So
yeah, and as long as you are diluting it properly, you are cooling and wetting the surface down first, and using it the right way, it will work fantastic for you.
And I've learned that over the years. So there is a proper way to use chemicals, and if you know how to use them properly, you're going to get fantastic results out of that every time. So
you could probably cut that back even further too.
I was amazed to hear so many employers talk about employees not reading directions. I would not imagine buying a new chemical to use, for anything.
You mean like at a shop, whenever whoever owns the shop brings somebody in to work there, and then they just don't read how to use the
right.
Well, they should be trained too.
No dilution.
No, just spray it on there.
Yeah.
Walk away.
It just amazed me that you would get these chemicals for this type of cleanup, and a lot of people don't read directions.
Maybe the font needs to be a little bigger. I don't know, but yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I've had people
the first thing whenever I grab a chemical is I watch a YouTube video to see how to use it. So hopefully people learn.
My favorite is when they start mixing chemicals together, and then they call us and they're like, hey, we mixed Firepower, Zap It, Muscle, and this, and it did this. And we're like,
with a drop of distilled water. Don't forget that.
What? Why would you do that?
And it had muscle in the name, so I thought I'd just add a splash of that to give me some.
I put a little bit on my bicep and it grew this big.
I got some Fire Fury magic. Yeah.
And that might be a new name.
That's next. Up and coming.
Do you have any go-to equipment that you just have to have?
I mean, equipment or chemicals?
Yeah. Equipment.
I mean, obviously a vacuum. I don't use a steamer a whole lot. A lot of people think that that's a staple. I honestly rarely use a steamer. I'm too impatient to wait for it to heat up. That's just an issue of mine. I have my extractor. I absolutely love it. I just got the Mighty 8070. I had an Aqua Provac. I still have the Aqua Provac, and actually I find that I'm still using the Aqua Provac even though I have the $1,200 heated extractor. My husband's like, aren't you going to use this brand new machine? I'm like, I like my Aqua Provac. I'm just kind of comfortable with it, and I know what to expect out of it. And sometimes I don't like experimenting on cars and being like, well, maybe this will work. So obviously my pressure washer, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Like I have a cheapo Ryobi 1900 that I think I got for $80 at Home Depot. I have my pressure washer sprayer. I use the short gun, the MV925. I have my polishers. Obviously, I have a little bit of an addiction with polishers. I have 5 back there and another 2 down low. I don't even know if you can even see those, but I do enjoy having a good polisher and just seeing the results that can provide. But really, when it comes to equipment, and a lot of people, I actually just got this, the company sent this to me. this is a like a little blower here.
Oh yeah.
To dry
I
the
was
car?
using a air compressor and like a vortex gun, and I don't have a very big compressor, and so it was struggling to keep up, and it was annoying to have to set it up and deal with the filling up of the tank every 20 seconds when I used it. This was McKee's 37. They sent this to me, and this is like a mini car dryer, but it has an adjustable speed knob on it. I've actually been using that in lieu of a compressor, and it's been working just as well, if not better, than my vortex gun.
Okay.
And it's a
So
lot cheaper.
what
So
do you use that for? Like to dry door jams and
you can use it for drying a vehicle. I actually use it like, let's say I'm on the interior and I'm doing intricate buttons and even cup holders, things like that. I'll spray Pink Perfection into on the plastics. I'll agitate with a brush, and sometimes like you get the puddling down into your buttons and stuff like that. That can be annoying. I would use the vortex gun to blow all that liquid out. Well, now I can just turn this on and blow all the liquid out, and that way my buttons and all my electronics, I don't have the risk of water or anything being in the electronics. But
Okay.
even like cup holders and things like that, you blow them out a lot faster, and it just speeds up the job, versus you trying to get a microfiber down into every nook and cranny and scoop everything out. You can just kind of do big wipe, blow everything, and everything will kind of, I have my microfiber kind of sitting on top of stuff and catching it into that, and it's just kind of a smarter, more effective way to work using forced air. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a compressor. And this is multi-purpose because I can use this to dry engines, door jams, tires, and wheels. If I want to get my sealant or my tire dressing on there faster, I can blow dry because this is heated
Okay.
and filtered. So it's nice.
Pretty cool.
So just having a tool like that in your arsenal, and you'd like a lot of mobile guys, that would be a really good investment for them to have versus a
Thank you.
compressor. So, but yeah, those are the basics of the equipment that I use.
let's talk about polishing really quick because it's not an easy thing to do. And I think that it's something that can be, dangerous and people can mess that up pretty easily. So like, where did you go to learn how to, polish or like correct a vehicle? Because you do a lot of coatings. So when you go through and you're doing all your prep work, I've seen people that have burned through clear because they don't know how to use it properly. And, if somebody's trying to get started, how was that a YouTube thing where you went on and just watched other people's techniques and like practiced on your own vehicle or?
Yeah. So like my first polisher and the first time I polished a vehicle was on a Corvette, which that's a really fun car to break your teeth in on. They have really hard paint. I was nervous. I did a 3-step on that thing. And honestly, like it was perfection, but it took me almost 2 days. And I think I only charged him like $150.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I told you, it only takes one job at really cheap prices for you to be like, I did not make enough for this.
What should you have charged?
For 2 days, 3-step polish,
Mhm.
probably at least $900 to $1,200.
Yeah.
You got 90%
like
off.
like a paint enhancement now is like $300 for me, and that's like 4 or 5 hours of work.
Mhm.
And I'm not the most expensive in the neighborhood, but I've definitely like slowly tried to increase my prices over the years. But I think I definitely learned on our vehicles. I actually started out with one of those old school orbital buffers from Turtle Wax, that everyone thinks of when they think of a buffer.
Yeah.
I still have customers that are like, oh, are you going to buff the paint? And I'm like, what does buff mean to you? Because it means a lot of different things to people.
Exactly.
They think wax means buff. They think polish means wax. Like yeah, there needs to be like a consistent use of the terminology for customers and everything, but it can be confusing. But I learned on my own vehicles, and just, honestly though, if you have a dual action polisher, you would have to be really sitting on the paint for a very long period of time, or using one like a wool pad with a very aggressive compound to burn through clear. It's actually one of the safer polishers. I've actually seen YouTube videos. I believe it was Yvonne LaCroix and 2 other gentlemen from Rag Company. They did an experiment to see how quickly they could burn through paint. And it actually took repeated use with those polishers at high speed, sitting, probably 5 or 6 rounds before they actually started to burn through clear. And maybe even more than that. I was like, huh. But there's also things that you're not aware of, like the thickness of the paint. Maybe the customer has had it rotaried before. Maybe the vehicle was a bad respray and there's super thin paint. So there's factors involved with polishing beyond just grabbing a polisher and going to town. For those that want to learn paint polishing, I would say start out with paint enhancements first. Those are the safest. You can use something like a 3D speed, an all-in-one, something that isn't going to have a whole lot of cut, maybe has some fillers to it. Use an orange pad. That's a great way to kind of at least get comfortable with speed, with the feel of the polisher and things like that. And then as you start to become more aware about the different pads and compounds and polishes that are on the market, go to a junkyard, get a test panel, and just test stuff out. Because my husband thinks we look a little bit redneck because I've got about 4 or 5 hoods sitting beside the side of our shed, and he's like, when can I get rid of these? I'm like, never. Like, no.
That is too funny. It's normally the other way around.
Yeah.
And I mean, he has his truck, and GM has horrible paint. Even a brand new truck, his paint is already at like 3.5, 4 mils of thickness, which that's not thick at all. So like, I can't polish his a whole lot to just test stuff out because it's very thin in some areas. And my Subaru's coated, so like I can't do that anymore because if I polish it, I take the coating off. So, and that's just where a lot of education, and that's where I watch a lot of YouTube videos on different polishes and techniques. Brian Spittler from Apex Detail is probably the one that taught me the most when it comes to it. He has a wide variety of videos on rotary use, dual action polishers, pads, different products that are out there. But I would say, like, find something that works and maybe stick with it, because it can be overwhelming, the amount of product that's out on the market, and just trying to figure out what works. But on the flip side of that, not every compound and polish is going to work for every vehicle. Like, you could have, let's say, Mercedes-Benz paint, and this one product works great on it, but on, let's say, Tesla paint, it's going to completely mar it because it's too hard or, too aggressive. So that's where, trial and error, and honestly, just try to go in these groups that it's free information that people are putting out there, and get to know other detailers in the area that are more experienced, get a mentor that you can connect with. I've been lucky enough to have a lot of mentors over the past 4 or 5 years that when I had a question, I could go to them and they gave me advice, and that's been pivotal to my growth. Like, I'm not where I'm at without those people standing behind me, building me up. So it's just a lot of just time and trial and error. I don't think anyone's just gonna like pick up a polisher and know exactly what to do, but having those people behind you that you can go to say, oh crap, what am I doing wrong? Send me a picture, I'll try to help. And then just talking you through that stuff really helps. So
yeah, nice.
Well, do you have what was one of your worst jobs? Like, what was that experience like?
Oh, how do I pick? Any minivan, honestly. I could probably say.
Did you say any minivan?
Any minivan. I don't think I've ever had a good minivan. They're all nasty.
Okay.
I honestly, like, when people tell me they have a minivan, I'm like, I'm gonna add $100 just because I don't want the job. I really don't like minivans, and my sister has one, and honestly, I don't like hers either. But I had one that it was pretty bad. It was 12 hours. That was a minivan. For me to just do a full detail. That wasn't even a polish or anything. It was honestly like by 8 o'clock at night, I was like leaning in the window of our house, crying to my husband, saying, I need your help. Like, I can't do this anymore.
Well, did you pull the seats out?
I pulled the seats out. I had to shampoo every single surface of the van. It was absolutely filthy. Every seat track was just like encrusted shut with dirt.
Had they
it
just
was
never cleaned it before?
they had a lot of kids, and yeah, I mean they were definitely sticker shocked by the end of it. They thought it was going to be like a $200 detail, and I was like, mm-mm, nope,
So
not for 12 hours.
what does a job cost? Like 12-hour job cost?
Oh, a 12-hour job of that caliber, that was 600.
Okay.
That, and honestly, my husband told me I didn't charge enough on that one. So the customer was not happy with me afterwards, and I was like, there's no way that I was gonna do this. It was bad. I had two full trash bags just full of trash. And they thought that removing the
Gosh.
trash was included in the $200 detail. And I was like, no, nope, not at all. I was like, so yeah, I mean, I don't think I want to do any more minivans. I did have one that the owner had a pet monkey, and the monkey wore a diaper, and that was interesting. He had like two dogs, a pet monkey. There were ants all in the van or the vehicle,
Oh,
and the ants ended up coming into our house because like we had to park it overnight. So yeah, I honestly, what has
how do
been
you eat a
nice,
pet monkey? Like, where do you even
he
go
was
through that?
he was like a vaudeville entertainer. And so he, like that monkey from the Friends, like the little monkey that you had in Friends, the sitcom.
Yeah, yeah.
It was that kind of monkey, and it always sat on his shoulder, and he would take it to shows and do tricks with it. It was
Trick monkey.
different. It was different. That was a really unique experience for me. But yeah, what's been nice is like when I started out, my prices were super low, and I had a lot of really crap cars because when your prices are low, sometimes that's the quality of vehicles that you get.
Yeah.
And the more I've raised my prices, I've really been able to kind of weed out those really rough vehicles.
Yeah.
And now I just have like your average condition vehicles. Every now and then I get those one or two, like the minivan. That was this summer. And that was someone that they were kind of like friends of a friend, and they thought they'd get a deal. And I was like, no. And yeah, I don't think I'll be getting them ever again, or and it's okay because I probably would have fired them anyways. Um, but yeah, I mean, the when you have competitive prices and you actually value your worth and your work, I think you're gonna be rewarded with better quality vehicles in the long run. So that would
Well,
be
and
my
I think,
encouragement to people who are starting out. Don't lowball yourself thinking, oh, I got to beat the guy next door, because you may not want those cars. Like,
Right. Okay.
but
I think that it's a good learning curve too, though. I think everybody's probably going to have to just go through that. And if you're brand new and you don't know what you're doing and you're trying to just, get started and figure things out, you probably have to go through a couple of those to really like know, okay, I'm worth this and I can do this now and I'm going to charge this. So,
that's for sure. And I mean, I feel like everyone has to kind of earn their stripes in this business, but that doesn't mean you got to stay there.
yeah.
It should be growing. I had someone say, every 6 months your prices should be increased by like 5 to 15%, just to get to that point where you want to be. And if you have word of mouth, your work will speak for itself. Um, there are some people out there that they're okay with $50 full details, hustling and going out to the grind, and maybe their market, that's all they can get. I'm fortunate that I live in a market where, I've got high end detail shops literally maybe a mile and a half down the road from me that can make, $1,500 for 6 months ceramic coating. And then I've got the other guy that's got a Clipper magazine double take deal, like everything for $79. And I'm like, I'm good right in that middle spot. That's
Right.
where I
Yeah.
get a lot of the daily drivers, because they're like, I just want my car to look good. And I'm like, I can do that. So
You probably get a lot of repeat business though, too, because,
a lot.
if they know that you can do a good job, they know that they can trust you and, you're convenient, they're going to come back. So,
Yeah, I've had a lot of repeat business. Actually, this summer, I was really fortunate. One of my customers, his wife works for a local newspaper, and he was so happy with the work that I did for him. he told her about me and was like, you should write an article on her. She's a female in a very male dominated industry. She does great work. So
That's
she
cool.
came and did an interview, and lo and behold, it was on the front page of the business section of the Sunday newspaper.
Nice.
I had so many people calling me after that I'm actually like scheduling appointments for next year at this point.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome.
I have to have a surgery November, December. So like I will have to close down during that time frame to recover. But up to that day, literally the day before, I'm working. And then as soon as I'm recovered, we're already starting to schedule for next year. So it's been really cool to see it grow. And yeah, I have no idea where it's gonna go, but I'm enjoying the journey so far. So
That's
everyone always
awesome.
asks what's the 5-year plan, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm just taking it day by day at this
5-year
point.
plan.
It's
Who
like we're
knows
trying to
what?
get to tomorrow.
Right? Who knows their 5-year plan?
So what advice do you have for customers? Like, for example, when I was younger, I used to love to wash my car because I can cut my music on, listen to my music, and wash my car. But I use Dawn dish soap.
Oh.
Okay. So it wasn't until I started working here.
You have so many options there that are better than this.
But the average person don't know that. And I seen a post on Instagram the other day, and there were people arguing about, because somebody was washing their car, so they was arguing about the Dawn dish soap.
Yeah, I'm working on editing a video right now where I discuss that, because majority of my customers, just like you, when I say how do you maintain their vehicle, they're like a hose, a bucket, a sponge, and Dawn dish soap. They're like, I just grab it. Even my own dad does it sometimes, and I'm like, how many times have I told you don't use Dawn dish soap?
Mhm.
So Dawn dish soap, to kind of break it down basically for a lot of people, it is meant to degrease. It is
Right.
not meant to uh, give you that lubrication that you're looking for. And actually, with repeated use of Dawn dish soap, it will pull out polishing oils from your vehicle and actually kind of stain it and make it look dull. I've had a lot of customers that bring their vehicles, and it is just like, it just looks sad. And
It
as
should be
soon as
called
like
dull dish soap.
Right.
yeah, because it actually it can pull the oils out of your paint and make it almost like dry skin. And I always equate car paint to skin to customers, and they seem to understand it, because if you don't have those proper moisturizers, it's going to get dry, it's going to get brittle. You don't have, sunscreen on it, it's going to get burnt, and then you kind of get like a dead skin layer on your skin. And so sometimes as a detailer, I have to come in and kind of exfoliate the skin on your vehicle. I'm taking it a little far, but just essentially kind of take the dead paint off of your vehicle to show and put moisturizers back in to show the healthy, beauty of your paint. Dawn dish soap is great at cleaning your dishes, but leave it in the kitchen. I would say that there are far superior soaps on the market.
No pun intended there.
There are far superior soaps on the market that are going to give you the lubricity that you need, but aren't going to dry out your paint. They can go after the road film, etc., but they're not going to remove your waxes and your sealants that you really need on your paint to give you that protection, that UV protection that you're looking for, to prevent contaminants from bonding with the paint, etc. So Dawn dish soap, even some detailers will say that you can use that as like a strip wash for taking waxes and sealants off. So it's not pH neutral. It's like 10 to 12 on the pH scale. It's not super alkaline, but you want something closer to that 7, 8 range, just to keep your waxes and sealants, preserved on your vehicle. And anything that's getting above 9, 10, 11, 12, even like, that's why, like, I've used Dark Fury before, and it takes waxes and sealants right off. Or if it's fresh, it'll weaken it. If it's old, it'll remove it, because it's got that high alkalinity. And that's why I tell customers, even if you go through the car wash, their soaps are 12 to 14 on the pH scale. It's going to strip whatever wax you have on your vehicle. I tell them lean more towards sealants because they're more chemically durable, to be able to resist that high pH soap, but it's going to weaken it. And even coatings and stuff like that, And even they'll say, oh, they're just spraying a spray wax back on. And I'm like, that's meant for more of a drying aid purpose than it is to actually like protect your vehicle. So yeah, it's just all about educating your customers and having those conversations with them about how do you maintain your vehicle. And then when they tell you what they use, just educating them, and then they'll see your worth. Then they'll be like, oh, okay, that's why you charge what you charge, because, you keep my vehicle looking good. So
Yeah.
Well, did you have any questions for us? I mean, for Gigi?
Honestly, I mean, there are so many of your products I love. Do you guys have an all-in-one that has like a durable sealant in it?
Yeah. Well, have you tried One Step?
No, I haven't.
You may check out that product. That one is going to be kind of like an all-in-one. That one we actually do sell more to like RVs or boats, just because it works really well on a fiberglass finish.
Gotcha.
But I will say, we are really, really good at the detail chemicals. When it comes to like your compounds, your waxes, your polishes, it's going to be very easy to use. It's going to be very affordable, but we don't get into what some of the other competitors as far as waxes and compounds offer, what they're getting into and what they're testing and how they're doing it. We have a very easy line to use. And actually right before COVID went down, that was going to kind of be our focus, was to go look at, okay, let's look at our line right now. Let's look at how we can make it better. There's a lot of new, cool, innovative technology that you can bring into like, waxes and compounds. And it's on our list, look for some cool stuff coming out, but the supply chain is a mess right now. But One Step, to answer your question, would be a really good all-in-one. And then also A1 glaze. I don't know if you've tried that one yet either. A1 glaze is probably going to have a little bit more, I don't want to say abrasion, because it's not like, gritty or anything like that, but it will kind of break down and fill in any imperfections. And it works really well on darker vehicles. So, like your dark reds or your blacks or things like that, it's really going to kind of just bring out that nice deep gloss look. But, One Step and A1 glaze are both good options for an all-in-one.
I'll have to check them out. Yeah. Well, I think my other question for you.
We'll send you some.
I use Zap It. I know you have your pink enzyme cleaner and your yellow enzyme cleaner. Of the three, which would you say is the most aggressive cleaner? And which one would you recommend, like, of the enzyme cleaners? Like, why would you recommend one over the other? Or like, what would be their specific roles that you would have the pink over the yellow enzyme cleaner?
Yeah, Gigi.
So the pink enzyme cleaner, the formula when it comes down to the cleaning capabilities of that is very similar to Greenall and Pink Perfection as far as an all-purpose cleaner. But what we've done is we've added raw materials into that formula that are like little micro-sized bugs that go in and basically chomp up whatever nasty, what kind of stain is that? Like blood or urine or milk.
Organic.
Yeah. So that particular raw material is what has been added into the enzyme cleaners, making it an enzyme cleaner that will work to deodorize, and it will get rid of the stain, whatever is in that stain that's causing that nasty odor. With the both enzyme cleaners that we have, the more yellow one, that formula is going to be catered more towards like your Zap It, more like a stain.
I noticed you have to mix that one like Zap It.
Yeah.
So is that essentially like Zap It sister with enzymes in it?
Yeah. There's a few other raw materials that are added into that formula for cleaning capabilities. Zap It really is meant to be a stain remover or like a pre-treatment. People have gone though to switching over and just using it for interiors all over because it smells really good and it works
Oh, it
really
smells
good.
so good.
Some people.
And it's not going to hurt anything either. You know,
No, I've
I've
noticed when I get it on plastics, there's no issues whatsoever, even though it's more citrus based. So yeah, it has like, it's nice for that because some carpet cleaners are not the best on plastics and they're so close to one another a lot within vehicles. But that's where like I didn't know if Zap It or the yellow enzyme cleaner, are they similar in cleaning power, or is Zap It a touch ahead because it has more cleaners with it versus the enzyme?
I would say the enzyme is a touch ahead. That's going to have a few more raw materials in it.
Okay.
Now, same thing though, with the yellow one that is separated, we don't recommend dilution on that. But with the pink one, you can dilute it because just how the formulas are created. So they both have the enzyme, the raw material that is going to act and make it a true enzyme cleaner. But the Zap It is, the heavy duty is probably going to be a little bit stronger than what Zap It would be.
Okay, that's interesting because Zap It is pretty dynamite, but to have an enzyme element to it, I think that's huge for a lot of detailers that we're, trying to actually not mask odors, just destroy it. So
Had you tried the Does It All and the heavy duty cleaner, enzyme cleaner?
I've tried all three of them. Yeah, I've tried all three of them. I just not enough that I like know 100% like what their capabilities are. I think Zap It, the only thing that I wish it cleaned a little bit on those like really, really hard stains. I love how quickly it rinses out of, a solution. It doesn't leave a lot of foam or residue behind. There are just certain situations that sometimes I wish it had maybe like almost like a peroxide capability to go after some more organic soils. Sometimes
have you tried non-acid yet? Have you used non-acid?
Which one is that?
Non-acid universal cleaner.
I have. I'm actually not a fan of the smell.
It's more of a chemical smell.
I don't like the smell of it. I prefer Pink Perfection, honestly. If I had to choose between like one over the other for plastics, I like Pink Perfection smell better. I like the soaping capabilities, like because it gives me a longer work time versus the non-acid universal cleaner. I just wasn't a fan of the smell, so I haven't really stuck with the non-acid. But I know you've spoken highly of it. It just wasn't my my thing.
Just in some seats, some carpets and some cloth seats where you're running into those heavy duty, whether it's grease or dirt or oil, even it gets in the seat, that's going to be a more aggressive cleaner for that type of application. But
now, how would that differ from like your delimonene
the delimonene, like Orange Blast?
I love the smell of that stuff, by the way.
Well, yeah, Orange Blast is a great option. Orange Blast is also meant to be more of a degreaser. So for your oils and, just tougher stains like that. Orange Blast is a great option for that. I always kind of forget about Orange Blast. I don't know why.
Ruben's favorite.
Right? It's like everybody's favorite.
Can you use that with Zap It? Like, is there no issues if you combine the two, like on a seat? I'm not mixing the chemicals together.
Mix the chemicals.
Spraying that.
You can spray on top of one another. You won't have any issues. But like Zap It, like coffee, wine, soda, any stains like that, I would go for Zap It. If it's something that's really nasty, that's not like grease or caked on dirt, again, back to what are those called? They're called like a urine stain or
organic material?
Maybe it's organic. Yeah, maybe that's it. But that's when you're going to want to go to, the enzyme one because it's just gonna work a little bit better.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, do you guys have any like teasers of stuff that you have coming out? I know
We have
SEMA always SEMA time. People always put out new products. I didn't know if you have a teaser.
we're getting ready to release a concentrated iron decon. So
Ooh.
yeah, an iron remover that you will be able to cut 1-to-1. That will make it very affordable because I feel like that stuff is just so expensive.
Stinking expensive. Can you make it smell good? Like,
no.
please?
Oh my God, it's terrible.
It's still gonna
I'm
smell
so
like
tired
ass.
of changing my clothes after a
rotten
chemical decon.
egg.
It is awful.
That is the raw material in the formula. It's sodium thiglycolate. It smells disgusting, and there's no way around that.
I know your purple prep is pretty good. Is there a way to make the formula thicker to give it to make it like almost like a clay towel lubricant? Because I like being able to do one at the same time.
Yeah.
I will clay towel with my iron decon, and the purple prep is a little thin sometimes. Yeah. But I like a little thicker formula. That's cool. I'm excited for that.
It almost is more of the consistency of a gel, but like a runnier gel. So it sprays on, it sticks really well. We are going to, on social media, we're going to do some like testers, so we'll put out a post. Yeah. And just to make sure you comment, and we'll send out 10, 16 ounce bottles and let people, test the product out, tell us what they think and all that good stuff. But
yeah, because honestly, like I was actually thinking about that today. I'm like, I need to order more iron decon. I'm like, but they're so freaking expensive. It's sometimes $70 a gallon for that stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's just ridiculous.
I actually was going to call my hairstylist and be like, can you just give me the perm stuff? Because it's almost the same stuff.
It's the exact, that's what I smelled it one time when I was little, my mom used to make me get perms all the time. And it was just brought back all of these terrible memories.
It's like PTSD for us girls. We're like, oh God, no, Mom, not the rollers.
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, like a so it's not good.
What I used to use perm for in our house was to clean the bottom of the iron. The iron.
Yeah, it's an iron.
It's an iron.
Yeah,
it's an iron. That's St. Louis iron. It's my art. Okay, we're going to wrap this up, but we got a couple questions.
No, I have to tell her what's after the iron decon.
Oh, my bad.
Ceramics. So we will have some pretty solid options on the.
Tell me.
I know on the ceramic, and then and coatings, ceramic sprays. But COVID put a big
ceramic sprays, like a spray coating.
Both, yeah. There'll be a new coating, and then there'll also be some sprays. So
cool. I'm excited.
So that's next. Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, last couple questions, and we're going to wrap it up. What's your favorite food?
All of the above.
I'm with you.
Me too.
Favorite vehicle? Do you have like a vehicle that you want, like on your list?
I mean, I don't like working on them, but I want a Corvette because they're freaking awesome. Okay. But any Audi, honestly, my husband says he's like, can you just like an affordable car? I don't know. It's all about lines. It's all about lines for me. Some people want Teslas. I like, honestly, Audis or Lexus. I like the front grills on them. I don't know, anything that's just really nice paint.
That is too cool. Okay.
Favorite color?
My favorite color?
What's your
blue.
Corvette? What color is your Corvette? Who?
My Corvette?
Yeah.
I like that really I like that really bold blue with like all black wheels and everything. But yeah, I mean, I told my husband he got this, and I'm like, you had to get black, didn't you? I'm like, it's like my nemesis. But yeah, my next vehicle is probably going to be just white with like all black wheels and trim and stuff, because I'm so tired of dealing with scratches and obsessing over this. I don't have time for a black vehicle. So,
well, before we go, I want you to shout your business out again, your location, and how people can reach you.
Attention to details in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. My website is www.a2dlancaster.com. My YouTube channel is Attention to Details with Chelsea. And you can get a hold of me through Chelsea at a2dlancaster.com is my email address, or you can message me on Facebook, Instagram. I will say this. I've had a lot of people messaging me lately, just asking me like random questions for detailing. I may not have all the time in the world to like be a private consultant for some people with
Well,
how
that could
many.
be a small fee.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we might have to get to that. I keep having one person, he's like, how many sprays of wax for my hood? And I'm like, I don't have time for this. So
You gotta send them your Cash App.
Venmo.
Right.
Just send them your Venmo link.
yes, I do have Venmo as well and PayPal. So, but yeah,
Do that and then answer the question after you get the
I'd
money.
give out my number, but I don't want everyone calling and texting me. So we'll
Right.
just stick with the email.
That's smart.
No,
Thank you
no.
so much. We really appreciate you coming on and spending a little bit of time with us and sharing your knowledge and supporting us, of course, too.
Awesome. It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I love y'all stuff. And it was just fun to be able to chat. So you guys have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye, Chelsea.
Thank you for tuning in to our awesome podcast. We really appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe,
Yes.
click the bell,
Yes.
share, comment.
100%.
And if you're interested in being interviewed on our Pro Detailer series, please do reach out to us on social media. We are out. Peace.